I'm Breanna, and I'm doing this on cerebral palsy. I should probably introduce my audience this time. So, this lovely lady is Danielle Hutton. That is Jason.
Hi.
And then that's Katie. And then the other guy I had, he went outside. So, he had some business to attend to.
He went to smoke.
Okay.
It's also working.
Yeah, he is also working. But anyway, okay, so did you know that 17 million people globally have lived with CP, or they are currently living with it? And that means you should take a look around, because more than likely you know someone who's lived with CP, or you know someone who's fighting it now. CP, or cerebral palsy, is a major factor in many people's lives now. It is the major disability among children. And that was stated on the CDC website if you want to check my credentials. There is no cure, and children who have CP are diagnosed with it before the age of 3. What would you do if you had to fight for motor skills? What would you do if you had to fight for every muscle movement you ever had to make? It'd be really frustrating, to say the least. And these kids are all fighters. Not everyone makes it, but the ones who do have fought a very, very hard battle. Now, cerebral palsy refers to any number of neurological defects or errors in the brain, such as brain bleeds, being prematurely born, or anything like that. And this occurs in the womb more than likely, because if you are born prematurely, there are pregnancy, things that happen in pregnancy that cause you to be born prematurely, and things that affect how the mother's carried you to term, or how far she has carried you. And being as this disorder appears in early childhood or in infancy, it is permanently affecting the body movement. The muscle coordination is also permanently affected. But the thing is it doesn't worsen over time. And that's from NINDS.org. The majority of children who have CP are born with it. And then the early signs usually appear, like I said, before the age of 3. Some of the common signs are walking with an elongated or scissored gait, which is walking with one leg dragging behind you, or walking on the toes. And then you have spastic reflexes, or you have very, very tense or very, very loose and lax muscles. And then I have some statistics from CPIRF.org, and they say that 1 in 500 babies are born with CP. 1 in 5 can't talk, 1 in 3 can't walk, and 1 in 2 people are living with chronic pain. Now, I'd like to tell you what CP has meant to me. I was blessed with a little girl for 9 years who was my adopted sister. She wasn't officially adopted, but we raised her like she was our own. And she was born prematurely, very, very prematurely. And she also had brain bleeds, to where she had to get a shunt. And she also had very, very stiff muscles. Her muscles were so stiff at times, like we couldn't even get her to relax so we could put her pajamas on. That's one thing I remember a lot about. She went through a lot of isolation after she was born because of all of the brain bleeds and all of the surgeries, but we were finally able to take her home after a month in the ICU. So after we got her home, she started to thrive. She started to get healthier. She was even getting chubbier. She was gaining weight. She was being able to hold her head up. And we were actually getting her muscles to relax and move like they were supposed to. Until February 14th of my 6th grade year. She contracted meningococcal meningitis. And everything started to go downhill from there. She spent over a week in the ICU, and that was at St. Catherine's in Wichita, Kansas. And I didn't get to see her much because she was in the ICU. I had to be with an adult. She continued to fight though, and after the infection was taken care of, like, we were able to take her home and everything. But everything was still going downhill. She was having trouble gaining weight. She was having trouble keeping it on her. She'd kick off her socks too, which was a pain in the butt because her feet were always freezing. Like, you don't know the struggle until you try to put socks on that kid, and she is kicking and she is laughing because she knows you can't get the socks on her feet. She was having trouble maintaining weight about the beginning of my freshman year. She got really tired after the second semester started, and then her little body gave out. Like, that's tough to say because I'm not entirely over it, but it's what happened. She was so tired of fighting. But she did exceed the doctor's expectations, which is insane. They said she had a week to live, and she lived 9 years. And that just shows how you have to take it one day at a time, especially with CP, because you can't give up on the kid who has CP. That's the last thing they need, is someone to give up on them. It happened so fast that February 29th of 2010, that everything seemed to stop. Like, it's like everything froze, but yet the outside world was still going on. They were still doing their thing. I don't know how that was possible, but it happened. Trust me. And like I said before, you can't give up on a child with CP. Just don't do it. That's a bad thing to do. Like, if you aren't there to have the authority and the help and give them all of the care that they need, where are they going to get it from? Because there is no cure for CP. To conclude my lovely speech, 17 million people globally do have CP, but they've fought it. They're living with it. Some of the people who have CP aren't as lucky. Some of them have passed on. My sister was one of them. And maybe getting the word out will help them find a cure. They'll help them find something that's exceptionally good at relieving the pain and the muscle spasms and helping with seizures and everything. And I want you to take a minute, look at the statistics, and then look at the people around you. Chances are you know someone who has CP, or you know someone who knows someone who has CP. You have no clue what people are going through, so you should probably stop and think about that before you judge the kid in choir class who can't stand still. Or you judge the girl in line who has temper tantrums. Or the kid you can't get her sweater on because she's so stiff. You should probably think about that before you judge someone.